When I was 17, my friend introduced me to a deep web drug website called Dream Market. He used it to buy things like weed and Adderall and recommended a trusted dealer for me to use. I don't support doing this now, but back then, I was young and reckless. I thought buying Adderall would help with my senior projects, so I went ahead with it. This initial purchase sparked my curiosity, leading me to explore Dream Market further. I saw everything from counterfeit bills to real guns for sale, which piqued my interest in the deep web. One day, while browsing Dream Market, I found links that led to what appeared to be a drug chat room, where people advertised drugs and their prices. Some users posted random onion links, and I clicked on one. It took me to a blank page titled Home Base, with several random links below it. Most of the links were dead, but a couple loaded, including one that led to another chat room. This chat room didn't have a title and had a few users with random, nonsensical usernames. I created a random username and joined. Before I could type anything, one user greeted me with "Ayo." I replied, and he asked what I was looking for. I said I didn't know, as it was my first time on the deep web. He asked how I found the link, and I mentioned the Home Base site. I asked if he had any cool links, and he sent one with a lol, and then left the chat. I clicked on the link, and it took a while to load. Eventually, a black background appeared with a text box at the bottom, and what seemed to be a live video. The video was black and white, showing a dark room with mannequin-like figures in a wooden chair. The footage had a grainy effect, making it feel surreal and unnerving. I couldn't tell if it was live or not. Suddenly, what I thought was a mannequin jumped up and sprinted towards the camera, accompanied by a staticky screaming sound. The figure's mask filled the screen, turning everything black. I went back to the chat and asked the guy what this was. He replied, "Just keep watching lol," and then left. When I returned to the video, the window was gone, replaced by a blank screen with a text box at the bottom that didn't let me type. Suddenly, my Tor browser window closed on its own. A deep, raspy voice came from my speakers, obviously disguised, and the voice said my first name, claiming they had all my files. Then my webcam turned on, showing my face on the screen. I panicked, turned off my laptop, and took it to the Geek Squad at Best Buy, where I had bought the computer. The technician guessed that the hacker had somehow accessed basic info from my computer, like my account name. He recommended a factory reset, which he helped me with. Since it was a relatively new computer, I wasn't worried about losing any important data. If you ever venture onto the deep web, I strongly recommend using a VPN, even for the allegedly safe websites. I'm 24 years old, and I'm from a small town called Yarmouth in Nova Scotia, Canada. I keep my social circle very small, just a few friends and my coworkers. I mention that because I don't really know anyone who would be out to get me in any way. I browse Reddit a lot in my free time, and am an active poster. One night, when I pulled up Reddit out of boredom, I saw I had a new message. This wasn't unusual, as I often got messages in reference to my posts. It was a message request from a random account with a now-deleted username. The message said, "Check your email, your spam folder specifically." I replied, Why? Who is this?" Meanwhile, I opened up my Gmail and went to the spam folder. There was one email that stuck out, titled in all caps, "I know who you are." I opened the email and found a paragraph full of my personal information, including my full name, my Reddit password, and my home address, along with threats. Whoever sent the email was asking for a one-time payment of $5,000 through Bitcoin to a specific Bitcoin wallet address. My heart was in my throat. I felt helpless, like my entire world was collapsing in on me. The first thing I did was cover my webcam with a piece of tape. I then went back to Reddit to see if the user had replied to my message. They hadn't. I reported the account on Reddit, hoping it would help. I replied to the email. copying the message I sent to the Reddit account, asking who this was and how they got my information. I also asked if it was a prank. 5 minutes later, I got an email back in all caps. No, it's not a prank. We have all your information, including where you live. So your best course of action is to do as we say, and you'll never hear from us again. Obviously, I wasn't going to shell out $5,000. I don't make a lot of money to begin with. I contacted all of my friends, asking if it was any of them, begging them to come forward if it was a prank before I called the police. None of them admitted to it. Given that I threatened to call the police, I knew it wasn't any of them. I tried to think of anyone at work who might have issues with me, but I get along with everyone there. I figured my password was somehow stolen by malware or a hacker, and through that, they got the rest of my information. The main question was whether to pay the money. That was absolutely not happening. I forced myself to go to sleep and left my laptop off the whole next day. I used my desktop instead. I didn't sign into Reddit or anything, but I did change my passwords on all other websites and apps on my phone. Late that night, I finally signed into my laptop out of boredom and curiosity, though nervous about what I might find. I signed on, and everything on my computer looked normal. I went to Reddit and saw the user who messaged me was now deleted. I went to a subreddit that talks about computer hackers and scams and posted my experience. At some point, I noticed the taskbar at the bottom of the screen turned darker. Curious, I minimized all my windows. My desktop wallpaper was different. I recognized the outside of my bedroom window. The camera's flash caught me lying in bed, sleeping. Seconds later, a pop-up window appeared with the Windows error sound. Inside the pop-up window was a message: pay. I closed my laptop and forced the computer off by holding the power button. I pulled my blinds down and called my parents. It was still early enough to do so. I told my dad over the phone that some hacker had my info, and he came right over with his truck to help me load any valuables I could think of into his truck to stay with them for a while. Before we drove off from my apartment, my dad yelled into the night sky, threatening whoever was hacking me. It was definitely a scene, but I was too worried to be embarrassed by it. I stayed with my parents for weeks, using my mom's computer when needed. I blocked that email address that sent me the original email. I finally got back to my apartment a few days ago. Every night, I fear hearing a knock at my window or getting another threatening email. I haven't brought it to the police yet, hoping it's all just a bluff to get me to pay. I'm also hoping it's over and that they've given up.